Hi and welcome to another episode of Adventures in Local Marketing. I'm your host, Christian Bannister, Director of Product and Marketing at BrightLocal. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about a topic that many SEOs have a real love-hate relationship with, and that's link building. On this episode, I'm talking with Dani Owens, and she's here to explain that link building doesn't have to be a fool's errand, particularly when it comes to building local links. Dani will explain what's important when it comes to building local links, as well as sharing some low-effort, high-impact tactics that anyone can start using to build relevant and valuable local links. So let's get to it. Hi, Dani. Thank you for joining me on Adventures in Local Marketing. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and I'm excited to be here, so thank you for the invitation.
Well, it's great to have you on, and we're covering a topic that you know a lot about, and a topic that I'd imagine a lot of SEOs have some dread around, and it's link building. And I think it's fair to say if anyone out there has done link building, they appreciate that. It's one of those parts of SEO that's somewhat a necessity, but it's also one of those parts of SEO that is highly unreliable in terms of delivering success. So my personal experience of link building is one where you kind of have to do it, but you don't really look forward to doing it that much. Would you say there's a general kind of love-hate relationship with link building amongst SEOs?
I would definitely say there's a love-hate relationship. It takes time. You have to do a lot of tedious manual labor to build links. And then you don't necessarily know if it's going to pay off. Are you going to actually get the link? And then on top of that, is the link going to help the site perform better organically? So yeah, there's definitely a love-hate going on there.
And so when we think about link building, we want to cover the local aspect. So this is a podcast all about local link building. So what do we have to bear in mind when it comes to building links for local search, and how is that different to link building for traditional SEO?
That's very important to keep in mind, that local links and links for local businesses generally are different than, let's say, a site that you're nationally targeting or you're building links for nationally. So with local SEO and local websites, you really want to build topically relevant links, just like you would with national SEO link building campaigns. But you also want to build links to locally relevant sites. So it's even a bonus if the site is topically and locally relevant. Super important for local businesses.
Is it a case that non-local links, like ones from an online-only source or a national publication, have no weighting whatsoever in local search?
I wouldn't say no weight. I just would think it's not necessarily the best fit for the local business. So for this topic, I focus on the audience that's going to be referred to the site. To me, I think that's important to do when you're building local links. You think about that. So we want to increase signals about the locality and the niche of the site with search engines. So for example, let's say you have an air conditioning company in Florida, and they're going to create a filter change guide on their blog. Which do you think would help reinforce the Florida and HVAC signals with the search engines for that page? A link from Forbes or a link from a Florida HVAC association, right? And which do you think will send the right audience to the client site from the link? A link from Forbes, read by somebody in California, or a link from a Florida website near the business? So that's the importance of thinking about the audience that's being referred to the site.
So when you talk about sending traffic to the website, is that important to you when it comes to building local links? So it's not just the fact that search engines put weight and trust in the links, but actually that potential customers might be using these links to get to the business's website?
Yes, for me, I have my suspicions on how Google's algorithm works. And I think it's very important that when you're building links, that the referral traffic is calculated into the link you're trying to build. I think that might play a factor in helping the site rank also.
So we know that a lot of local SEOs and SEOs in general don't really like to do link building. Can you get away without doing it? Can you rank highly with no real links these days in local search?
Yes, I definitely think you can. There's many clients of mine that I have not done link building for. The important part, I think, is you make sure your content is on point if you're not going to be building links. But the results I've seen to increase organic traffic or rankings has been much slower without link building.
So I think it's fair to say that a lot of agencies struggle to deliver link building services. A few of the agencies I've spoken to over the last year or so have outright said to me, we don't offer link building as a service to any of our clients. They say that the success rates mean that it becomes a very time intensive task. And so I guess for people who might have been put off by doing it themselves, there are options out there that promise kind of not necessarily local links, but promise kind of like contextual, topically relevant, in content links. I'm sure most people listening to this have seen a few of them advertising to them on Facebook relentlessly, or they might have used those services themselves. I mean, what's your general view on these services? Are they worth an agency invested in, and do they even work for local SEO?
That's tough. I've been through that myself. All the services that build links that I've tried, they've claimed to do natural links via outreach, but I can tell most of them have been using a database of links. So it's not necessarily like they're doing outreach for every campaign, or at least that's my opinion on it.
Mm-hmm.
So, keep in mind too, these are national links that these services are building, not local links. Local links require the actual outreach on a client by client basis because each client's in a different niche and location, right? So I'm not saying there's no value in using a link building service or a national link building partner. I just haven't found any that I personally would outsource for local links. So if you're a local business or local SEO company, then the services may not be what you're looking for, those ones out there. That's why I've been working on my own local link building service. The wait list is at LocalPR.com. So I'm trying to help improve improve this issue for many people.
That sounds awesome. So why don't you tell us a bit more about that service?
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm preparing it right now. It's not open to the public yet, but LocalPR.com is going to be focused on local link building services, either partnering with agencies or working for the local businesses themselves. And it is a manual process, starting from scratch, working with the client to find out, where their locality is and where they would like some links from, and then going from there, trying to actually build those links and trying to focus also of a more of a PR perspective instead of just a local link building service.
Okay, nice. How are you defining a PR perspective?
Well, when building links, I'm kind of keeping that in mind of putting PR first, just getting exposure and awareness out there. If a link is included, that's great. It might not be all the time,
Yeah.
but an example of a good PR link that's also a local link is, let's say, a local sponsorship of a sports team where you also get your logo on the actual jersey. Things like that are, you can get PR exposure, but also build links at the same time.
So you talk a little bit about um, one of the tactics, and we'll dive into that a bit more. But I guess the fact that you have scaled up a service suggests to me that you must have a pretty good process in place. So without giving away too many secrets, how do you approach local link building? Do you have a series of steps that you take usually?
Yes, yes, you definitely have to have simple, repeatable process. So there's three phases basically, which all link building services that are actually doing outreach would use. There's prospecting, where you're looking for the right types of sites you want to build the links to based on the client's site and the needs, what they're looking for. Then doing outreach, which sometimes is email based. It could be different ways. And then also, once you've started a conversation, sometimes there could be a negotiation with trying to get that local exposure or getting a link included in that.
Okay. So, what are some of the mistakes people might make in kind of research stage, so where you're actually trying to find relevant and local links?
Well, we've probably experienced this ourselves because you might get an email from somebody trying to build a link to your website and it's totally off topic. It's not related at all and it just looks very sad, right? It's not effective. So it's really important when you're looking at the site you're looking to build links for, you want to look for a nice audience for them. So each site's going to be different, but it's really important to pick the right outreach targets based on the types of links you're looking to build. So each one's going to be different. Like I said, for each client is completely different than the other one. So it's not as easy to repeat that process. There might be some sites, some types of industries that have some overlap that we can reuse those partnerships maybe, but in general, you're starting from scratch.
Yeah, definitely been on the other end of a lot of those link outreach emails. In fact, I probably could open my email now and count the last 100 emails, and probably a quarter of them would be some sort of irrelevant, bulk, non-personalized outreach email asking for a link to a resource that has nothing to do with BrightLocal and the sort of content that we write about. So definitely know where you're coming from with that. So if that's the wrong way to do it, if just like spray and pray is not the approach that SEO should be taking, how can someone go about actually researching and finding some of those sites that might be locally relevant?
Something that's really important to do is using Google search operators. So using Google search operators is a manual process, but you can find different types of links, whether it's directories, sponsorships, local organizations. To me, that's where I start. So, for example, I have a lawn care service that needed to build some links. So what I did is I started looking for real estate agents in the area, real estate companies, because a lot of them will use landscaping services, or if a home's been bank owned, they still have to keep the landscaping up. So there's some kind of connection or partnership that could be created off of that. Now, I won't go into detail into the campaign, my secret sauce, but that's an example of how you can find a good niche to contact for your client for link building purposes.
Yeah, I think relying on Google suggests that if you're finding sites that Google's ranking highly, there I guess there might be some additional authority around getting links from those sites as well.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you lean on the clients you're working with to help build out potential lists of sites or businesses that you might be able to get links from?
Well, it just depends on the client. Some clients don't want to be bothered, and some have a plethora of information they can give you. So, if you're a local link building expert or you're familiar with it, you can basically just look at a website and tell immediately who might be a good fit, right? So, for those clients that don't want to get
Mm-hmm.
involved much, that's easy to do. But if the client has more information of something specific they're looking for, then that can be worked into a campaign really easily.
So we've obviously experienced people doing it the wrong way. What would you say are some of the biggest no-nos overall beyond just kind of bulk sending emails out to everyone when it comes to building local links?
Um, well, some things to avoid, I think, would be too many links at once, doing these large scale campaigns. If the site, let's say, gets 5 links per month naturally, you wouldn't want to all of a sudden build 20 links a month for them. Well, maybe 20 is a little low. Maybe let's say 100 to exaggerate it, right? That could look suspicious to search engines. They can catch something like that, right? We also don't want to do too many exact match anchor text links. These are the keyword rich anchor texts. Naturally, most businesses would get a link because somebody's linking to their homepage. That's generally, how you mention, or maybe a study or something like that. So keyword rich anchor text is not bad. It's just not as common for natural links. So that's something to keep in mind. And then also the pages you want to link to. Typically, once again, the homepage is linked to the most. So you wouldn't want to build a bunch of links to a whole bunch of other pages and the homepage only have one link going to it. Um, that's just an illustration so that you understand, the search engines can detect things like that and maybe make it more likely for you to get in trouble for such a thing. Once again, we're talking about local links, so the chances of that's probably not big because these are going to be smaller campaigns probably. But those are some things I definitely would recommend avoiding.
Nice, nice. And so I guess if businesses out there have lots of links to their homepage over time, but they really want their service pages to be ranking, would you say at that point it's probably okay to have a bit more of a focus on getting links to those service landing pages?
Yeah, definitely. I recommend it that way, just as you said.
I want to be able to give our listeners some surefire tips that they can go away with so they can approach link building with maybe a bit less skepticism and ultimately deliver some results. So let's start with the surefire wins. What are some of the low effort ways that people can go about building local links?
Well, there's a good amount of options if you're not interested in outreach. That basically means, low effort means to me no outreach required. So some options are directories. Directories that are local or niche specific can provide more value than a general directory. So directories are easy. You could just go create a listing or pay a fee or something. So um, low effort for sure. Joining organizations could be another way for low effort links. So there's, examples are Chamber of Commerce or niche associations like the Air Conditioning Contractors of America or something. And then also buy local, shop local. These new organizations have been coming out, for a number of years now. When you join different organizations, sometimes you get a membership profile or listing, and that's where you can get that link. So that might be really easy to do. Press releases are super easy, but they don't have a ton of value in my opinion. So I still mention it though. And then sponsorships. That one does include outreach, but it's you're almost guaranteed to get a hit from them because they're looking for people that want to sponsor them, right? So there's a cost associated, but it's very low effort because they're looking for people like you. And then also competitor links. To me, that reduces some of the effort because you can see where a competitor already got a link and you might be able to leverage that in your conversation with the site when you're trying to build that link.
Nice. So generally, the rule of thumb is low effort equals no outreach, and generally that means then high success rate. I guess if it's low effort, it could be the case that competitors can easily acquire those links too. So why don't we take it up a notch? What are some of the more creative ways that people can go about building local links?
Creative ways to build links. I think leveraging Google search operators is super important. So I think people should get very familiar with the different type of search operators so that they can find the right sites. I have a couple nice tips from Phil Rozek of Local Visibility System. So if you have friends or family members that own businesses and they have websites, you might be able to leverage that to some degree. We're not talking about unethical ways or cheating, but that might be an opportunity that you could explore. And then the second tip from him is reaching out to partners that you might have partnerships with companies or other businesses that you refer business to. So if you're an air conditioning company once again, but maybe you partner with electricians or plumbers, you might be able to leverage those relationships to create links on other sites. And then competitor backlinks, I think, is a good creative way, specifically for local links, not just looking at the organic results, but looking at the Google My Business results or Google Business Profiles is what they're called now.
Nice. I like a few of those because they lean on relationships that, unless your competitors are also related to your family or have exactly the same friends as you, they're not going to easily be able to just copy that. They could do a backlink analysis, they could try the outreach, but ultimately they're unlikely to get a link from, say, your brother or sister. So that's a nice moat that you've built around yourself. I also like that it's kind of part of the community, right? And I think a lot of local businesses are that, right? They have partnerships. They also probably have businesses that they might use themselves. So with something like a testimonial going out there to a client's supplier and saying, you know, can this business write you a testimonial? Is that another way that businesses might go about getting links?
Definitely. That's a great example of a creative way.
Nice. Good to know I still got it. So we've talked about examples where you actually being proactive, you're going out there, you're adding your site to a relevant directory, or you're emailing a relevant site for a backlink. But I guess one of the ways businesses might want to think about this is how they can earn links, how they can get links in their sleep effectively. So instead of building links, it's earning and generating them. So does that work with local businesses? Is there a way that sites can actually be generating links without having to do any sort of outreach?
Yeah, there's a few that I've come across that come to mind. So hosting events, I think, is one. If a business is able to host an event, you know, whether it's at their location or not, but when they're promoting that event, a lot of other sites will pick that up. Or there's local event sites that you can mention that on. You can get links from that really easy, multiple links from one event. Job openings is another one. You know, if you are posting that you have a job opening at your business, there's other sites that may pick that up, or you can get multiple links from that one job opening on different sites, even locally. And then also the other one I've seen is expos. If you're going to join an expo and have a booth there, you know, you're going to be promoted on their site and some other sites that will pick up those vendors and mention who they are. So I think those are decent ways that you can get multiple links from just doing one thing that's important to your business you are already possibly going to do anyway.
Okay, nice. Well, Dani, I think you've really shone a light on how local link building can be achievable for anyone. And I'm sure our listeners will have come away with loads of great tactics they can feel confident about. Before we go, where's the best place for people to follow or connect with you?
Okay, I'm on Twitter, which you'll have to link to my handle because it's Daninelli. It's kind of hard to spell it, but also my site is pigzilla.co. You can contact me there. Those are probably the two best ways.
Awesome. And where can people join the wait list for your local link building service?
Oh yeah, that's LocalPR.com. So right now it's just a form for you to fill out to join the waitlist, and then I can let everybody know once I'm actually ready for business.
Awesome. Well, hopefully a lot of people go and check that out and join that waitlist. And I look forward to seeing what happens next with it. I'll drop links in the show notes for everyone to go and check those out. Dani, it's been great having you on. We should feel like link building isn't something that's out of reach for us if we're following the right sorts of tactics and taking the right approach, or coming and checking out your service once it's up and running. So thank you so much for coming on.
It's been a pleasure, and I really appreciate it.
A big thanks to Dani for joining us and sharing some really useful tactics that anyone can start using to build local links. If you're keen to learn more from Dani, she's actually created a course on BrightLocal Academy that covers another topic that many SEOs have a love-hate relationship with, and that's reporting. The course is called How to Create Relevant and Engaging Local SEO Reports. You'll learn what data is important for showcasing success to clients and stakeholders, and how you can avoid the end of month scramble with time-saving tools to automate your reporting. It's completely free to enroll, so head over to academy.brightlocal.com to get started. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for joining, and I'll catch you again very soon.